But hi, everybody.
Hey
How
there.
are you?
Hello.
It's so good to see you all. So, who here would like to talk about sales letters?
Woo, woo, woo.
Okay. All right. So, here's the conundrum that I am facing today. So, I have a little presentation that takes you through an outline of a good sales letter. It's very similar to what Marisa has presented and what should be in a good sales letter. Okay, so I imagine that the way I talk about it, because I will talk about it and I think about things, I will talk about it differently than Marisa talks about it, just because it's me and she's her and everything. And so there's some incremental knowledge that will happen that will flow from that. And I'm more than happy to make that presentation and take you through it. The other side of the conundrum is I'm also more than happy to have a couple of you will open up your sales letter and go through it and give you comments.
Yes, please.
So the question is, which of those two do you think you would prefer? Or I guess there's option 3. I can move through that fairly quickly, get it done in about probably 35 minutes is my guess. And then we can spend the rest of the time looking at your sales letters. So let me know. So in the chat, say presentation, say reviews, or both. Okay, and we'll look at your results. It's looking a bit like both is winning out right now. Okay. All right. In that case, let's get going here. Slideshow. There we go. Got that. Move this out. You're not seeing it yet. I know. And share. And that one. There we go. Okay, we have the technology working. We're ready to go. Okay. All right. So let's talk about designing your sales page online. So every successful sales page is unique, but most of them follow a very simple formula. You are seeing my slides, correct?
Yep.
Good, because I worked hard on them. And so I want to make sure you can.
I can't hear you.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool. Zoom just kicked me out and I just came back again. Okay. We are having a good technology day here. Okay. All right. Okay. So every successful sales page is unique, but most of them follow a fairly simple formula. Now, different people do this formula slightly differently, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to summarize and simplify that formula for you. I'm going to give you Don's version of this, which is 96% also Marisa's version. And because she and I have worked together for a long time and done some experimentation and learned a lot of things together. And so our methods are very, very close together. What I'm going to give you is a simple sales page formula that simply sells. Anybody interested in that? Okay. So it starts with a headline. The headline. So the problem that I find over and over and over again when I look at people's headlines is that almost always their headline talks about their product as opposed to the customer's problem. Now, every once in a while, you can get away with a headline that talks about a solution, not a problem, but a solution. Let me just show you this for just a minute. This is the sales page for EPM. Introducing a new way to create super sticky products, programs, and courses that hook your customers on taking action, getting results, and buying from you over and over again. Harness the power of experienced products to make at least $2,000 in the next 10 weeks, guaranteed. Yes, we are legally guaranteeing you'll make at least $2,000 in 10 weeks, no matter your industry, niche, or stage of business. Okay. I will tell you, it is rare that we are able to find a headline that is not problem-oriented that works. This one clearly works. But I want to point out something. This is not a headline about our product. This is a headline about a solution. What it's saying is that there is a way to create super sticky products, programs, and courses that hook your customers into taking action, etc. Okay? And so realize that this is an exception to the rule. And one of the reasons why I think it works is that it's not saying, come join me on this retreat to Cancun, or come buy my product about how to do mindfulness. It's about a solution. And so, but again, as I said, 90, 95, 99% of the time, unless it's a problem-oriented headline, it's not going to work as well as a problem-oriented headline. That makes sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, by the way, while we're here, this gives me a good example of a headline, a pre-head, and a post-head. Okay. A pre-head is oftentimes used to put things in context and tell people why they should be paying attention to it. The headline states the problem, and the subhead or the post head then goes in and oftentimes completes or amplifies what's in the headline. Okay, so you don't have to use all three. I oftentimes end up using a pre-head and a headline. Sometimes I'll put in a post-head. Okay, all right. So headlines, great headlines, tend to be focused on their problem. The alternative is to focus on the transformation that they can get, which is what I just showed you. It's not about your product. So here's the thing that happens. When your headline is focused on the product, it turns your whole sales page into a transactional occurrence as opposed to a relationship occurrence. When they get there and it's talking about their problem, that invites them to come participate in the conversation about their problem. When you start off by saying, save $2,000 and join me in this trip to Cancun, that's a transaction. They immediately, without knowing anything else about the product, are making a decision whether they want to go to Cancun, whether they can afford it, and all those kinds of things around it. And so that's the reason why these problem-oriented things tend to work, is they focus on the relationship, not the transaction. And as I said, it can have a pre-head and a subhead. Okay. Next, after that, comes the problem statement and the problem amplification. So what you're doing is that you are talking about the problem that you introduced in the headline. And as you talk about it, you are talking about what this problem means to them and how it affects them. And then we oftentimes do this thing called amplifying their problem, really focusing on the pain and the frustration of not having that problem solved in their life, what it really means to them. So here's what we do in our positive-oriented culture. We tend to focus on what are the positives about this particular situation. So whenever something negative is brought up, our natural inclination, because we tend to be controversy adverse, we tend to be negativity adverse, we tend to try to look at the bright side of it. And so it's like, I mean, the worst. Aunt Mary just died. Oh, it was so nice that she went quickly with little pain. It's like, it's like we tend to almost naturally, culturally go to that. And so what we're trying to do here is to do the opposite of that. It's to do exactly the opposite of what the culture is you've got a problem and that problem is hurting you. And because it hurts you, this is what that means to you, that your problem is hurting you, and that's important to you to deal with that pain and resolve that pain. And so recognize that that happens. Okay. Now, the music playing in the background is my wife teaches violin in the basement. I've changed my microphone system, so it's a much better microphone system, but it also happens to pick up some of the music that happens downstairs. So I hope you enjoy the musical background today. All right. Okay. Then once we get done with talking about what that problem means to you, then we have just a couple of sentences that talk about, but what if there was a solution? In other words, we just emotionally said, you've got a problem, this is how bad it is, and then we say, but what if there was a way to solve that? So it brings hope back into the relationship. And here's where you start into your hero's journey story. Now, we've talked about the hero's journey in previous of these, so I'm just going to quickly review. I'm a lot like you. I struggled with this problem. Here's how it affected me. It was so bad I almost gave up, but then one day X happened and everything changed. Okay, X is I discovered this new technique. I bought this product. I started meditating differently. Whatever that is, this is the essence. This is your hero's journey in 60 seconds or less, okay? I don't suggest you to do your hero's journey in 60 seconds or less. This is my way of communicating the hero's journey in 60 seconds or less. Then the next section, so the natural inclination that everyone has is to say, okay, we just did the hero's journey and then everything changed. So here's my product. Actually, there's something in between this. And that is, here's how life is different because that change happens. And so what we're doing here is in the hero's journey and everything changed, but now we are taking that hero's journey, the change that happened, and we're projecting it into their life. So you've got this problem. When that problem is solved, then your life will be different and better in this way. We start describing the new world that they'll be in, creating hopes and dreams and possibilities, so that as they're going into starting to hear about the cells part of this letter, what we're doing at this point is just before we do that, we emotionally take them to the spot of, wow, this is how much better my life will be when I solve this problem. Won't that be cool? So I'm going to step back for just a moment and talk to you a little bit about the emotional process of the customer going through your sales messaging. So here's what happens in sales messaging. It's actually a process of you're managing their emotions. So the best sales letters have a great deal of that management occurring in that process, so that you are basically controlling where their thoughts and emotions are going as they go through it. And that's what we're doing here. So we started off by pulling them down, making it even worse, gave them some hope, told them about us, gave them more hope and make them see the future. And now we're going to go into talking about the product. So that's part of what's happening here. Pamela, would you mind just muting yourself?
I'm so sorry. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. All right. So Once we've reset them in the new world and hopes and dreams of possibility, now what is the solution that'll solve that? Introducing your product, and you give a 1-sentence description here. And this is really key. Only a 1-sentence description. You're not going to
I
describe
can't hear
all the
you though, and
modules.
I'm muted.
What was that, Pamela? Okay, so you're not describing all the modules. You're not describing everything. You're simply saying, here is this product, and it does this. This is your 1-sentence description of that. Because right after that, you're immediately going into the benefits of owning your product. You're not describing your product here. You're talking about how their life is different once they have the product. And you say, but wait a minute, isn't that redundant? Didn't we just do that? Yes, it is. And yes, we are. We're going to do it in slightly different words. But again, we're pointing them to the hope and to the vision of the future that happens with your product, so that this is an emotional sell, not a logical sell. In a minute, we're going to get into logic, and they're going to get a ton of logic. But we're trying to focus them on the emotional sell that they're saying to themselves, I want this product. Now prove to me that I'm wrong. As opposed to, oh, that doesn't fit with me. That doesn't fit with me. Okay, I don't want this product. Okay. Now, then we go, this is the first place to possibly introduce solution-based testimonials or case studies. We could possibly have brought up some of those case studies in the problem section and just talked about, like my student Marie Elizabeth, who had this issue. But when I did that in the problem section, I'm not going to tell about how Marie Elizabeth got the problem solved. It is, I am simply saying, like my student Marie Elizabeth, and here's what she had happening to her. Here's how her life was horrible because this problem existed in her life, okay? But in the product benefits, we can start talking about how Marie Elizabeth took this product, took this course, did this coaching, came to this live event in Cancun, whatever it is, and look how her life is different. Look, she's got a smile on her face. And so, yes, you are going to get the PDF of this. You can smile about that too. Now we drop into describing the product, okay? So here you give them a short description of what it contains. I will tell you, most people spend far too much time and energy and space, and they kill way too many electrons describing their product. People don't care about your product. They care about the transformation that results from your product. And so here you're going to use so language. So you're going to describe to them, here's the product, here's this module. So what they're going to learn, what they're going to get, what they're going to do, so, and then a benefit statement. So here's an example for my webinar funnel formula. You'll learn the exact step-by-step formula for a conversational sales presentation that gives them the information they need and invites them to buy in a non-pressurized way. That's what they're going to get. So you never have to feel pushy or sleazy again. Okay, so what I just did is I took the logic of this is what you're going to learn, and I made it emotional by talking about so you never feel pushy or sleazy again. Okay, so that's what we're doing here by, as we describe the product, you are never more than half a sentence away from being able to talk emotions. And the easiest way to do that is that magical word that I would love to, in fact, I think I will frame it. I'm going to put so up on a frame on my wall, give it a place of honor, the place that it deserves, because that is such a powerful word because it brings emotion into a very logical discussion. Okay. All right. Next. And by the way, testimonials and case studies can be everywhere after the part where you start to introduce the benefits of this product. And so what I tend to do is I compile all my case studies, I put them all in one place, and then I do the whole sales letter, And then I come back and say, okay, where's the best place to put these? And I start sticking them in wherever they go. I like to have at least 3 blocks of testimonials if you've got them. If you don't, then we can talk about that later on. But I like to, in a fully formed product with a bunch of testimonials, I like to have at least 3 blocks in there. All right. Next, we go into the bonuses. So the bonus stack, we're going to describe each bonus. In that, we're going to use so language so that we can focus on the benefit of that bonus. Each one of them's got its own benefits. And I like to use the what else do you need system, which is, so I was thinking, here's this amazing product. And then I asked myself, well, if you had this amazing product, what else would you need? So I just taught you how to launch a product. What else do you need? Oh, you need a list. Okay, here's a bonus that teaches you how to get a list. Oh, what else? Okay, now that you got this amazing things on how to launch something and you know how to build your list, next you need, oh, you need a product to sell. Okay, here's a bonus on how to create a product to sell. All right, once you've got those 2 things, what else do you need? And so if you simply go through that, what else do you need? And I actually put that in words. It actually works a whole lot better in a webinar, but it also can work in printed sales letter. So you could actually say, so if you had this, this, and this, what else would you need? Oh, you could use a list. Okay, so I put together this bonus on how to do a list. Okay, so what this does when you use this system is that, number one, it shows the logic behind your bonus system and causes people to think, oh yeah, I do need that. And number 2, it makes it conversational, which is exactly what you want in this process. And then you always put the value of each bonus in so that you're building this bonus stack. So here's this product that costs $2,000 and you're getting $6,000 in bonuses of value in the bonuses in addition to the product. Your goal, of course, is that they buy your product to get the bonuses. And some of us scoff at that. I literally one time did exactly that. I already owned a product. I walked to the back of the room and bought it again because this person did such an amazing job of selling the bonuses that I wanted the bonuses. Now, I did turn around afterwards and refund the first product, but in the end, I made that purchase because of one of those bonuses. Okay, next we get into the fine art of price anchoring. So what in the world is price anchoring? Basically what you're doing is you're comparing the price that you're going to offer them, which you have not told them yet, with other alternatives. And so it can be things like, I could teach you this one-on-one, but it'll cost you $50,000 for me to do that. X people, so 223 people have already paid $5,000 for this. You could do it on your own, but it's going to take you a year's worth of time and at least $10,000 to figure this out. And wouldn't you rather just have those additional sales right now? And sometimes maybe if you've got a competitor who offers a similar product, but doesn't have everything that yours does, especially if their product is more expensive, you can say, or you can just buy the competitor's product. It does this and this. It doesn't talk about this, this, and this. And it costs $3,000 more than this one. And so guess what? What we're doing is we're trying to set a high price expectation, and then we reveal the price. And they go, that's all it is? That's what you want people to say. When you reveal the price, you want them to say, that's all it costs? Even if that cost is $2,000 or $10,000, you want them, if you've done the price anchoring part correctly, they're expecting a price that is 3 to 5 times higher than that. And so when you reveal the price, they go, oh, okay, that's cool. He gave me a major break on that. Now, they may not be able to afford that. That's a whole nother process that goes in their mind. But what you've just done is you just built pressure in the price anchoring. You built the pressure that this is going to cost you a lot, and then you relieve that pressure by revealing the price. You always want the price to seem low to them. That's why we do price anchoring. Okay. Then we do the product benefits again. But wait, Don, haven't we done that twice already? Isn't this redundant? Yes, it is. And yes, we will. Again, we're going back. What we've just done is we just went through all this section of logic, and now we need to get back into the emotion. And so we're going to go back to the emotion by doing the product benefits again, focusing them on what they get as a result of doing this. You're going to put your guarantee, and ideally that's a risk removal guarantee. You're going to answer some frequently asked questions. When does this start? You know, is this right for me? And that, by the way, that's the biggest question that everyone always has. What they really want to know is this right for me? Is it worth the money and the sacrifice you're asking me to invest in this? Is it right for me? That's what you're really answering in every one of those frequently asked questions. And then I like to be closing cart. And so I'll give her deadline rationale. Why in the world I'm closing the cart? Why can't I buy it next week? And that can be whatever reason. And then we're going to this slide doesn't belong here. Skip it. And we always end with a checkout button. So in the sales message for this particular webinar, I said there's one thing that should be at the bottom of your sales letter that almost everybody leaves out, and it costs them. I've found it costs them 5 to 10% of their sales. Is that what tradition says is that you end it with the frequently asked questions section. But if you just take the copy that has your button in it and you paste that again at the bottom of the page, so they end not with questions but with a buying opportunity, it tends to increase your sales by 5 to 10%. So don't forget to add another copy of your button at the bottom. And by the way, don't forget to put the legal elements in terms of sales, privacy policy. There needs to be a disclaimer down there that says you don't guarantee results, that kind of thing. All that needs to be in the links, the terms of service link at the bottom, but legally you've got to have that. And that's it. There's your sales letter. Okay. Formatting, since we still have 3 minutes left in the 35 minutes I promised you, may I suggest you have lots of pictures. And that's redundant. Lots of pictures and pictures to set off section. So the last thing you want to do is bore people. So let me just bring up and show you. Just a second. I got to get this thing here so I can control it. So let's just scroll down the Experience Product Masterclass. Now, by the way, this sales letter has changed since last time I saw it. It used to follow this formula exactly. Now she's put some testimonials right at the top. So I'm not sure what's going on here. But notice, okay, so here we've got the top part where we got a video, and then we've got this section. Now we're in a different section. You can see visually that we're in a different section. And now we're in a different section. You can see visually. And now we're in a different section. We can see visually. Notice that what we've got is we've got about 100 to 200 words in each section. Each section has its own headline that is designed to pull people through and tell them what this section is about. And then we get the copy, and then we visually go into another section. And then another section. By the way, this is Hero's Journey. We start Hero's Journey, and we continue Hero's Journey, and we continue Hero's Journey, and then we continue Hero's Journey, and then here's the, oh, and then something happened that changed everything. And continuing the rationale of the hero's journey. And once we realize this, everything changed. And right there, your hero's journey is ended. But notice we had 6 sections in the hero's journey alone. Okay, this is what makes things sell so much better than boring text. Okay, so by the way, here we're starting to talk about the benefits. This is actually, it sounds like logical language, but then you start the course and, oh, this is talking about the negatives, and this is what our customers are experiencing too. You're not okay with leaving your customers behind. So notice we never go more than about 6 inches without another visual break that sometimes is pictures, sometimes is colors, sometimes is backgrounds, whatever that is. Okay, that's the formatting thing. So headlines for each section that communicate the point of that section, pull people through, grab interest, and I suggest you hire this out if you're not a designer, and maybe even if you are. Make sure you include multiple checkout boxes. That checkout box ought to be there at least 3, if not 4 or 5 times in it, especially if you have a long one. The longer it is, you never want people to be more than about 3 scrolls away from a checkout box. Multiple testimonial and case study sections, and ideally a video at the top that does this whole formula, just gets reproduced in video at the top. So originally when I did this, I was thinking would talk, what have you found that works, what are you most scared of, and what are your questions? But at this point, I'm more than happy to look at a couple of your sales letters and give you comments on them. So there you go, 35 minutes on the dot.
Woo!
How to do a sales page in 35 minutes. Okay. All right. So stop sharing. And so before we go in and start talking about that, do you have any questions, thoughts about what I just showed you? Is everything clear?
It's really helpful. I found that like I can see I have pieces mixed up and the pieces I need to pull out more and expand them, and yeah, just very helpful overview. Thank you.
And by the way, the pieces can be a slightly different order, but this process is a process that has been proven over and over and over again if you follow this order. And, you know, if you go read, I don't know, a Rich Sheffrin sales letter, it might be in a different order, or Mike Filsame, or, you know, Russell Brunson or whatever. But essentially all these parts get in there one way or another. Okay?
Yep.
All right.
Can we have you look at them?
What was that?
Can we have you look at some?
Yes, you may. I just need to know if there's any other questions before I do that.
Curtis here. What kinds of rationale have you used for a deadline?
So one of the best ones is if too many people know this and the system won't work anymore. A second one is, Michelle, I'm going to ask you to mute yourself. I think you might be causing that weird noise. Okay. All right. Thank you. So if too many people know this, it can foul the system up. A second one is the course actually starts on X date. And so, and everyone's going to get through this together. You're going to have time with me to help to do that. And so we can only do this in batches, and the batch closes on such and such a date. Sometimes it can be, I've decided I'm only going to sell 200 copies. And so when they're sold, they're sold. And so it's closing on Monday at midnight, or when 200 copies sell, whichever comes first. I've literally watched, Frank Kern is most famous for doing this. I watched him close a launch after 2 hours. It's about 93 minutes because he sold the number of copies that he said he was going to. And he kept his words and just closed it down. So all those are rationale.
I've also said before, like, I'm leaving for a trip tomorrow. I just want to get this done. So, you know, if you're in, you're in. Do it by, you know, midnight, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. By the way, that's my least favorite, because it sounds like you're leaving on a trip, so you're not going to be paying attention to me. You're not going to be serving me.
Okay, I got you. This is for a product, but still, yeah, I can see that.
Okay. All right. So if you're doing a course, that would probably be a bad thing, but that's good. Okay, good. Michelle. Oh, Michelle, it's not working. We can't hear you, Michelle.
You have to mute yourself, so maybe we can hear Michelle.
You sound like a little girl.
You sound like Minnie Mouse.
Have you been inhaling helium lately?
So Michelle, what I'm going to ask you to do is probably call in on your phone again, because it sounds like something's broken there. And we'll try that again, okay? We'll come back to you. And in the meantime, if you can mute yourself.
I got one.
Okay, Natalie.
And
Am I Minnie Mouse too, or can you hear
Nope,
me?
we can hear you.
Okay, so the second product benefits, you don't just copy and paste what you said above. What do you do
Absolutely not.
differently in the second one?
So first off, I usually, before I write a sales letter, I come up with 50 different benefits to it.
Okay,
I prioritize them. And then what I'll oftentimes do is take, like, if I'm going to do 3 blocks of benefits, I prioritize them. I'll take number 1, number 4, number 7, and number 10, and they go in the first batch. And then 2, 5, you know, they go in the second batch. And so I'm using the highest priority, and I'm just taking chunks of the highest priority. That's the way I do it.
cool. Okay.
If you can't come up with 50 benefits to owning your product, maybe you need to up your product. It's delivery.
So one other question. So if I'm going to do like a workshop a month or a workshop every other month, I figure I've got to have a streamlined sales page template that I can kind of reproduce and do simply. Is there anything here that I can cut out? Because it has to be simple. Otherwise, I can't sustain it.
Okay, so what I just gave you is a formula for a $2,000 product or above.
Okay.
Only a $197 product, it probably won't be this complex.
Okay.
Okay,
Like
first
I
off,
can
it's
combine
tough to
some-
get people to go through all that for $197.
Okay.
It gives them the rationale they need to be able to buy a $2,000 product.
Okay.
So you still probably would use all those sections, just fewer words.
Okay.
Okay. And maybe you can do 1 batch of benefits or something. Okay.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good. Janine, were
Okay,
you
I'm back.
asking another question?
Can I come back?
Yes. Let's do Michelle. She's
Yeah.
not Minnie Mouse.
Happens rarely, but people usually say I sound like the chipmunks. That's why I use my phone for audio. Anyway, and it kind of relates to what you were just answering to Natalie, was I've had so many people, even when I've referred to other people's programs, they come back and they complain about the long format. And I'm sure people use that because they've done research that it's effective. What is the rest, other than the sequence of thought that you just went through, that landed people on the long sales page format? Because if I only had that response once, it would be one thing. But, you know, some of them really are long, and we're used to it if we're in this industry. But for people who aren't, a lot of people get overwhelmed. But what's the research findings, if you know them, that led to...
I will actually give you a very personal set of research findings.
Okay.
1998, I created my very first 7 long form sales page. It was 7 pages long when I printed it out on my computer. I then started looking at the research.
Can you please mute that person who's making noise?
Okay, so I don't see whoever it
I
is.
think
Okay.
it's Beth. It's Beth Ellen Nash.
Oh, Beth Ellen.
She's unmuted.
Beth Ellen, could you mute yourself? Okay, thank you. Okay, so that you know, because I came in the wrong way into this, I don't have control over muting people. I'm here as a participant like everybody else. Okay, so I created a 7-page sales page. It sold X. I then started looking at the research. The research said longer sells better, so I wrote 11-page sales page, and my sales went up 20%. I then wrote a 17-page, and they went up another 20%. I then wrote a 21-page sales page. They went up another 20%. When I got to 24%, it started going down, and I couldn't break above 21 pages. Okay, but it became very clear to me as I did that research on my own products that the data that everyone else was showing works. So here's the thing. People complain about long form sales letter. You can believe them and do a short form sales letter and sell less. It's totally up to you how much you want to sell. If you want to sell more, write longer. Now, never write more than is necessary to do what you've got to do. But remember when I go back to when I said, you're in the process in a sales letter of managing their emotions. You can't manage emotions. in 2 to 3 pages. You just can't do it. And you, in most cases, you can't communicate everything that's got to get communicated in 2 to 3 pages. There's just too much. That's the reason why you really, I won't do a webinar for less than 90 minutes, because I can't sell in less than 90 minutes.
The assumption there is that that long sales page is going to be read to get the very benefits you were telling us from each section. So I'm just curious, is that read, or is it there's just enough that even if you go through the headlines, the same development happens?
Brilliant, Michelle. Okay, so when we look at the data shows that even with a 20-page sales letter, the average person is going to spend, if it does not have a video on it, the average person is going to spend around 90 seconds on that page. The average buyer is going to spend around 90 seconds. The thing that'll happen, though, is that you're going to have a group of people who are going to spend 40 to 60 minutes. And when you actually watch the video of them, they are literally reading the thing. So here's the way people do a sales letter. They come, they see it, they scroll down to the bottom, see what the price is, they scroll back up, and then you watch their screen, and it goes zoom, and it freezes for a second or two, and then it goes zoom, and then sometimes it freezes, sometimes it just backs up a little bit so they can read a headline, and then you see it zoom down the next one, backs up to the headline, and then they'll be on that for 2 minutes. And then they'll zoom down a bit more. And what happens is after about 5 minutes, they zoom down a whole bunch, and then all of a sudden it stops and they read it again. It's really interesting watching people's videos. So what ends up happening is those subheads for each of the sections are absolutely vital, because that's what people are reading. And then if the subhead is interesting enough, they stay on that and they read more about that section. And by the way, what sections do you think get actually read the most in a sales page? I'll just tell you the answer.
The story, the hero's journey.
So the parts that get read the most are the benefits and the case studies.
Oh.
The part that gets read the least is the description of your product. Isn't that interesting? And by the way, also up there in the part that gets read is the description of the bonuses. It's really interesting. People read more about the bonuses than they read about the product. So it's just really, I mean, when you've seen a couple of thousand videos of people reading sales pages, it'll literally change your life and change your marketing behaviors.
And do you have just a general guideline for the shorter the products that are under 2,000 to make? Is I think you used an expression to similar to for that product they don't want to put the time or energy into that long of a page. It would be half the size. Is there a relationship between the price and the proportion that you drop off that long sales page? There is a
relation. I'm having trouble specifically answering your question because it's almost a gut feeling, having been doing this for 25 years, what the difference is there. And I can't really tell you because, you know, this is a great invitation, Michelle, is for me to go through and actually try to figure that out.
But it is the important part for me is it shouldn't be a long sales page for a $500 or.
Oh no, it absolutely should be a long sales page. Is that long page might be 7 pages long.
Okay.
Instead of 20.
Got it. Thank you. That's so helpful. Questions I've wanted to ask for years.
Okay, so my daughter has a product that she sells for $30. She said, "There's no way I'm writing a long sales letter." I said, "Okay, let's test that. You come up with your best shot at doing this in short. So, you know, picture, 5 bullet points, another picture, checkout." Okay, now I'm going to take a shot at it. Okay, so I wrote a 5-page sales letter for a $30 product. Double her sales. Okay. I have not spent time going through all that in detail, seeing what people are actually reading in that, but it doubled her sales. So, okay. All right, here we go. Pamela, you are chomping at the bit. You want to show us something. What can we look at? I can't hear you.
I'll put the URL in the chat.
Great.
Okay, here it is. I'm making all kinds of mistakes, which you can happily point out to me.
Okay. All right, let's do this. Put this here. Oh, okay. Whoa.
I can share my screen. Should I do that?
No. I'm going to do mine because I want control. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let me just tell you something that just happened. So yes, I'm on Zoom. Yes, my computer, my internet connection is busy right now, but it took almost 30 seconds for this picture to load. One of these two pictures took almost 30 seconds to load. So you got a problem with one of these two pictures.
Thank you.
Or you got a server issue, okay? What's probably happened is that somebody has used a 300 or 1,000 DPI image and just shrunk it down to fit in there. Okay. All right, open the financial flow in your service business, transform your money. Okay, so that you know, anything that looks like a logo becomes invisible to the customer.
What?
So this right here is invisible to the customer.
Okay.
Because it looks like a logo.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so, okay.
Okay, all right. What I think you should do is rip that out.
Okay.
Okay. Now, are you a gifted coach, healer, or consultant struggling to convert your calling into a consistent cash flow? Okay. What I would do with this is I would turn this into a subhead and a headline. Okay. So I would lose this up here. I would say coaches, healers, consultants, : are you in a pre-head? And then double to triple the size of this. Are you struggling to convert your calling into consistent cash flow? Okay.
Gotcha.
Putting your mission here, I'm not sure. It might work, might not. But what we've just done here is we just told them you're going to pay 267 times 6 monthly payments before you've told me what's in the product.
Mm-hmm.
So what you just did is you moved me from emotional, because this is very emotional. Gifted coach, the image, you're moving me, that's very emotionally, and you immediately move me to transactional mode right here. Okay?
Gotcha.
There it is fashionable now to put buy buttons at the top. I don't like it. All my tests say put it at the bottom. Don't have a button right at the top. The time that you want to have that is if you're doing a webinar and sending them from a webinar into a page, but that's a separate page. You're going to do a different version of your sales page for a webinar than you are when you're sending raw traffic to it. I don't like having these because people have the capability by now. They know how to scroll and they can get down to it. And I've not seen any evidence of putting buttons increase your sales. Okay. Okay. Is this image consistent with what you want to portray?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's the reason why I asked, because it's what this image does is that it focuses people on this image screams this is a woo-woo product.
Mm-hmm.
Just so that you know. Okay. And if you want to attract people who are a little nervous about woo-woo, this image will drive them away.
Gotcha.
Which is fine if that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but just want to point that out, that's the effect. That's okay. Does your income, and the challenge is the words you're using here don't sound like a woo-woo product. They sound like a how-to.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the reason why I wanted to bring that up. Does your income go up and down like an exhausting roller coaster? Do you find you're on a losing streak you can't seem to shake? Okay, so this is good. These headlines are the size that headline should be.
Got it.
Okay, all right. Then these should be smaller. These would probably be subheads. Okay, okay. All right, now we get into hero's journey. A few years, my business bottomed out. I hit a low point. Okay, this is good. All right. So I think you can do something, you can do more here. Okay. So we're selling 277 times 6 monthly payments. So we're at $1,500, $1,800. And so we can spend another 6 inches in Hero's Journey.
Okay.
Okay. So the piece that I'm not seeing in here is I'm not seeing any amplification and emotional elements of their story. Okay. So that you've stated, you're asking them if the problem exists, but you're not saying anything about why how that problem affects them and why it's a bad thing for them to have that problem. So back to the teaching moment that we talked about at the very beginning, the reason you amplify is because people are so used to discounting the negative effects of negative things happening. And you want to do exactly the opposite here. Okay. So that's a huge piece that's missing here. Okay. And I'd like to see more in here, which will also help to support that, hey, this was a bad thing. Okay. I do like that your picture looks me in the eye. That's very nice. Okay. There's a whole, I have a whole hour-and-a-half presentation I do on pictures. And this is a good example of a good picture. Okay. All right. What if, okay, hope, very nice. What if you could, very nice. This is a good example of using 2 minutes to 2 sentences to start putting the hope back in. And we jump right into a testimonial, and Judy's looking good there. Okay. And this is good. Oh, I see what you're doing here. So you got Judy's picture, a quote, and then Judy before and after. Interesting. So here's what I would do. I would call this off in color. So Judy's section has a green background, and then Susanna's has a blue background, you know, something like that. Okay. So that it's clear we're still talking about Judy here. Okay. All right. I don't understand Cinderella. If I read this, I might get there, but I'm not sure that's adding anything.
Okay, it was supposed to be about being a servant, but that's not clear. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's because there's a lot of people who put. Are you saying being a servant is a good thing or a bad thing right here?
I think it's a problem.
Okay, because Cinderella is a bad example of being a servant, right? Right.
The reason I was thinking of her is because she's appearing as a servant, but she's really like, you know, the star. That's kind of their problem too.
Right. But the challenge, I get it. Talking about servant leadership, Cinderella is a bad example of that.
It's not what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Let me show you how you should do that. Okay. So we don't have benefits of the product in here.
Okay.
And then we start talking about it. Now, I hate putting, it's 9 modules long. Okay. Hate doing that. Okay. So you're going to get to my 9 modules. Just don't tell them, because 9 modules sounds like work.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. Oh, look at this. So that your subconscious mind feels. Ooh, so have you listened to me before, Pam, or did you just naturally do this?
I've heard of it before, and it does help.
Very nice. Good for you. Okay. So what I would do is, first off, I would take these pictures and alternate them going down. Boom, boom. Okay. Picture, copy, picture, copy. So it's a little different going down. You probably could like blow this up just a little bit and open that up just a little bit, but this is okay. This will do.
What were you saying could open up more? I'm sorry.
So my concern is this feels long. I got 9 modules, one after another. Boom, 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 boom. After 4, I'm going to start tuning out. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to graphically open things up a bit. So maybe by making a picture a little bit bigger, maybe making this maybe making this be larger text, and then this can be that same size. Okay, so I just want to open it up a little bit, and maybe after module 4, put a couple of testimonials, and then. But wait, there's more. You wouldn't say that, but it's like, and you're only halfway through what this course offers. Okay, sorry, your picture's over here. That's why I keep looking over here to see your face. All right. Okay. I was exhausted working outside. By the way, this is probably not the right testimonial to put right here, because you just spent 9 modules exhausting them, and then you immediately say, I'm as exhausted and working all the time. Okay. So just reverse the order, put a different one here, right here. Okay. Okay. Good block of testimonials. I do the same kind of thing with color there. Here's your peace of mind guarantee. Okay. More
Beth
testimonials.
Ellen, can you mute yourself, please?
Sorry, I don't know how it keeps getting unmuted. Apologize.
Okay, thank you. Okay, frequently asked questions. Okay, so, oh, bonuses. Okay, interesting. You put your frequently asked questions. So most of the time, and I haven't read these, but most of the time, the frequently asked questions you can drop to the end.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And by the way, this is a question I would not answer here.
Okay.
Okay. The whole Canadian US dollar thing is a huge problem in this industry, and there is absolutely no way oh, you offer them a discount. Oh, okay. In that case, I'd leave it in. Okay. But I will tell you, you will have people in the US who say, well, what about my 25% discount? I live in Detroit. It's almost Canada. It's as cold as Canada is. Okay. But the problem with the whole Canadian thing is there's no way to make everybody happy. So I just leave it out and tell people it's tough. You shouldn't live in Canada. Move south. Okay. All right. Come play in our politics down here. Not sure either one of them is better than the other. Okay. All right. This is interesting. So if I click I'm ready, what happens?
You get the full pay. But so maybe this is not needed. In fact,
I don't think that's needed. I would put this into the button.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Bonuses. So you can describe these bonuses more. Right now, they feel like second thoughts.
Yeah. Okay.
I want them to be featured. Okay. Again, I never like putting long list of images, text, image, text. I like to move them around. Okay. Oh, you got Maribel. Is she a friend of yours?
Yeah.
I love Maribel.
I love Maribel.
Okay. And pay in full and save $600. Ooh, make that a bonus. Interesting. I've never seen anyone do that. That's brilliant. I'm going to steal that. Can I steal that? Okay. All right. Peace of mind guarantee, 9 hour. Okay. That's nice. I'd have that at the top. But I always like putting these in when there's 3 days or less. Prior to that, the timer doesn't go on the page. Okay. This is interesting. This is very nice. So there's no way you could do that if you were putting this in front of 500 buyers. 500 people are going to buy. You can never do this. But this is nice to put in for this.
I find people actually are looking for my number and finding me to call me. So I thought I'd make it easy.
And I love it. I love it. So if you're doing if you got a smaller list going to your launch, that's a brilliant idea. You need your legal language in this.
Right. Where do I find it?
So I'm not a lawyer. Don't play one on TV. And unfortunately, it needs to be legal language. So you're not going to find it.
So there's not boilerplate. I just have to.
There is boilerplate that you can buy. Every lawyer will tell you don't want to do that. But if that's what you want to do, I'm not giving you legal advice.
That's it.
Okay. All right. Hey, nicely done, Pamela. This is a really good start. And I think you got some suggestions here that'll make it even better.
Super helpful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So overall, one other thing on top of it all, it feels amateur design.
That would be me.
I think you sell more if you get to the point where it looks like professional design.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
By the way, this button isn't working because it's been resized bigger than it should be. Go and buy the piece of stock photography to get that bigger so that you can do it that way and lose the drop shadow.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So was I mean to you, Pamela?
No, you were super helpful. I can't thank you enough.
Okay. So anybody else want me to not be mean to you too? Okay. So let's see. Natalie. Oh, Dee's got one. I'd love to see Dee's. Dee, you're holding out on me. What can we look at? Okay, here we go.
I just put the link out there.
Okay.
I know you tell me some stuff. So
got it. Okay. So first thing I do is I lose this whole section right here.
okay.
And, even when you're 3 days to close, this goes here, but the enroll now, just make it lose it. People can.
Oh, okay. So you can leave the timer, but just get rid of the button.
Yes. Okay. What if you could lose weight, get more energy, and transform your body in just 14 weeks? Okay. So this is a very EPM kind of headline.
Yes, it is.
Doesn't feel like a problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Change
This
it.
is not a problem headline. This is a solution headline.
Okay.
I like a problem headline.
Okay.
Okay. Your target, this is the target that we've been talking about, right?
Yes.
You have a white woman in there who's not looking over 50.
I need to put a video in there is what I need to do.
Yeah, maybe, or just show a fat black lady.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I don't know, but the last thing I would do is have a picture of a not very overweight looking white lady.
Okay.
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 I hate doing this because I feel like I'm walking on a racial type.
You're not. Trust me, you're not.
Okay. All right. So I would do a negative headline. Okay. And I would do a pre-head that says, so that immediately tags it down. Are you a black woman over 50 who struggles with weight issues?
Okay.
And then you've got and then you could possibly use this headline. If you use that as a pre-head, that you're talking about who they are and she struggles with weight issues, then you could possibly use this headline. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Again, I would lose this. Okay. Confused by one side. Okay. So this is great. This is great. Here's what's just happened. We just did a non-problem headline, promised them personalized weight loss, and immediately went to transactional. This headline is a transactional headline.
Okay.
It's not talking about my problem. My copy down here is talking about the problem, but the headline is transactional.
Okay.
So I'm looking for a relational headline here that talks about how hard it is to lose weight.
Okay.
Okay. And then this copy works.
Okay.
By the way, your whole copy, I would strongly suggest you bring your size up a point or two in this copy. It's a little small, especially since you're targeting women over 50. So eyes are starting to go. And trust me, when you get over 50, something happens and your eyes start to go. Okay. I'm D. Davis. Good picture. And I was like, you are, fix that typo there.
Okay.
Struggled with this. Okay. Is this continuing your?
Yeah, this is my story still.
Right? Okay. All right. Sean T. boot camp. Would they understand that?
They should. Yeah.
Okay. So I put parenthesis, describe it in one sentence.
Okay.
Okay. Is this you and your daughter?
Yes.
Ah, she's cute. Okay. Then my breakthrough came. Okay. Cool. So herbal teas are your breakthrough?
That was part of it, but that's not the whole story.
Okay, so be careful because that sounds like that's the solution.
Okay.
Okay.
I can change the wording on that.
Okay, so, all right. So what's missing right here?
Testimonial.
We're finishing our testimonial. The thing we don't do is we don't talk about the benefits of having the problem solved in your life.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So I always want the benefits of solving that problem before I introduce my product. Okay. And then we go through this, and I'm not ready to see the price yet.
Okay.
I want to see this part before I see a price. Okay. Because you haven't sold me yet.
Okay.
You described the problem. And by the way, you got your picture for your product. Okay. So pull that part out and then come down into the curriculum. We're going to prepare to win. So I hate first modules that sound like they're an introductory module. So I'd like you to change that title on that first one from Prepare to Win, because it sounds like you're not gonna teach me anything that's valuable in that first module. Slow down and speed up. The more is less. Color and flow. Be smart. Free to balance. Okay, so these names are all clever. I don't understand most of them.
Okay.
Okay, and this is just Dawn being Dawn, and what I tend to do is I take whenever I look at these things, I assume that I'm looking at this with an IQ that's 50 to 100 points less than mine. Okay, not saying that I'm smart, but I always want to write sales letters for about an 80 IQ. Okay.
Okay.
And so clever names don't work.
Okay.
Because they require thoughts. And so if I can do names that make sense. So color and flow, does that mean I should eat lots of different colors? I'm not sure. Okay.
Okay.
You're going to give me like cheese sauces? Okay, so that could be really cool. If I get cheese sauce in this, I might be much more interested. I got not only cheese sauce, but bread.
Right.
So if that's not going to be in your diet, this picture's not going to work. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Free to balance. Okay. We'll get a fast action bonus. Cool.
And there'll be more.
And so you got all your bonuses go here.
Yeah.
You're stacking them. You're putting values on them. Okay. Creating your healthy body blueprint. Interesting. Okay. So, all right. This is really good because there's too much text.
Okay.
Okay. So what I would do is I would have each one of these, keep your icons, do this blueprint, nutrition, exercise, accountability, and then this is the only section I would have here is just that. Okay, I can't block it because they're. I'd have those four, and then I'd have your blueprint, and this description here goes sideways there. Then nutrition with your icon goes here, and here's your description about it. Then exercise goes here, and here's your description about it. Accountability. In other words, when you get too long in your descriptions, it doesn't work because that's not the way the web works.
Okay.
Okay. When the program ends, you'll have interesting. Okay. Why is it this 3/4 the way down your page? This right here is what belongs right here. After talking your hero's journey, this is what you get.
Okay.
Okay. So that's, but this is actually program end. So this is talking about program benefits. And so maybe I'm wrong in saying that, but actually I'm going to go back on what I just said. But that set of benefits of having your weight under control goes up there. This then becomes the beginning of a section where you're readdressing what the benefits are of the product.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. And then here's my price. Okay, don't have a price justification here. I'd like to see you do a price stack.
Okay.
Okay, why this thing's so valuable. You know, if you go to Weight Watchers, it's going to cost you $3,000 to get this done. I can teach you personally. It's going to cost you $5,000, you know, all that kind of stuff, down to this. Early enrollment, what others say. Okay, this is the first time I'm seeing a testimonial, right?
Yeah. I
Okay.
have more.
Okay, I'd like to see more earlier, okay? And what I would do for her is that I would pull this video over to the side and I put a text summary of what she says in here.
Okay.
Okay. And I'd like 3 of them right here. Okay.
Okay.
And I wouldn't call it what others say. I'd come up with a, you know, here, here's what previous participants in this program have said, you know, something like that. Okay.
Okay.
Permission, price button again. This is nice. Okay, so this is ending with the motivational statement. That's not bad. Okay, terms and conditions down here. Okay, nice design. Overall, so graphically, it generally looks good.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things we talked about. Okay.
Okay.
Work.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, good.
Oh, one question.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't necessarily have to have a video, but if I do have a video, does the video have to recap like the entire page, or can it be something else? I mean, it has to be related, but how much of the content of the page should be in the video?
If you're going to do a sales video that's going to go at the very top, you're recapping what's on the page.
Okay.
You have a video that's only focused on one small section, or that's like a message from D, then it doesn't have to recap it, and you put it in the body. If you're going to put it at the top, it needs to basically be a sales message.
Okay.
But let's say you're going to put it right here.
Mm-hmm.
And like personal message, you know, come join me. I'm going to work with you personally to craft your own personal plan, you know, that kind of thing. That could go right here really well.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
All right. Let's do Natalie's. Natalie, you want to give us a link?
Let's do Alicia's.
Okay, let's do Alicia's.
Yeah, she was after me.
Okay. All right. Alicia, how are you?
Good.
Where's
How are you?
Alicia? I'm looking for you. There you are. Okay. We got Be Happier and Healthier, Happy Healthy Kids Adventure. Okay. This is hard to read.
Okay.
Okay. So what I probably would do is for HTML, this is probably structured with a column here, and you have another column over here. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would take this column and I would put like a 40% transparent white background behind that column.
Okay.
So what it does is it makes it easier to read across the stuff that's going on. You can still see that stuff's happening below it, behind it, but it'll be easier to read. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And make sure you have plenty of padding so the white goes out to about right here. Okay. Again, I'd lose the register now, worried about, okay, so Be Happier and Healthier. Okay, so that feels to a novice, that'll feel like a problem-oriented a headline. I think you can do better.
Okay.
Okay, so remind me, this is a program where you're teaching people how to help their kids have happier, healthier lives, right?
Mm-hmm. This is a very short program to reduce sugar, basically.
Okay.
Sugar intake.
All right. So I'm playing with something along the line of, are you aware that sugar has been proven to be the leading cause of blank, blank, blank in kids? I don't know. I'm making this up as I go along, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's something along that line that specifically talks about sugar and the effects of that. And then my gut feeling is that most of the people who see this page probably aren't spending a lot of time worrying about how sugar addiction affects you and your kids' behavior. What would be more powerful here would be something that talks about the facts about sugar. Okay. This mission statement is too high on the page. They're not ready yet. Okay. So at this point, we're still talking about the problem. So what I would do is I would go find information that talks about how many of the things that every parent struggles with are really caused by sugar. It's like boom, 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 boom. So they read it and they go, my kid has every one of those problems. Sugar's the culprit? Really? And then I would be talking about, and then from there, so I'm thinking about the process that a typical mom, typical human being goes through. Really? Sugar's the problem? But I like sugar. And so then the next piece you're doing is, and by the way, just listen to the way I'm processing this. I'm doing this from the consumer's point of view. First off, you got to prove to me that sugar's a problem. Then the second thing is, but I like sugar. So now you got to prove to me that you can make my life not be ruined and I need to go like, my life is totally, totally horrible because I've ripped sugar out of my life. And so it's possible to have a life that still tastes good and still has treats and still feels nice and still has all those things, but the only thing that's missing is the sugar itself. Okay? So that piece needs to go in this because that communication has got to be right at the top of all this. Because if they can't believe that you can help me still have a nice life without sugar in it, I'm not buying into anything else you're saying.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Life's too short for moody kids or moody adults. Nice. Sugar addictions are no fun. Okay. What are you waiting for? Okay. So I may be wrong in how I'm talking about this. Is your audience already trying to decrease sugar intake?
No.
Okay, so if you're trying to deal with normal human beings might are aware that sugar is bad, but they're not actively working to decrease their kids' sugar intake. Okay, what they're trying to deal with is children behavioral and attention problems and everything else like that. And so I would not be focusing your messaging, because this is like the third time you've talked about decreasing your kids' sugar intake, and that's what they're struggling with. I don't think that's what they're struggling with. I think they're struggling with all the effects of not having done that. And that's the way you need to write this.
Okay.
Okay.
It seems like it's a mystery. Like they don't even understand all these behaviors and things they don't like are tied to sugar.
Yeah. Very nicely stated. Okay. Good. 4 weeks of videos, simple activities, private Facebook group. Here's what you'll discover. Okay, so that you know, at this point, I really want to know what this thing costs. Okay. Which is perfect. This is exactly what we want to have happen. Is at this point in the sales letter, I want everyone saying, this sounds nice. How much does this thing cost? Okay. And especially since you're going to reward them with this thing only costs $27. It's like, really? Okay. And so that's really good. Okay. I feel I'm struggling trying to decide whether you need more about what's in it or if you can just let it run like this. Okay. Mm-hmm. Don't know the answer to that. By the way, I put a $sign here and I would cut USD.
Okay.
Okay.
It's just that I'm in Canada, same thing. It's like,
yeah. But people in America don't think about USD because we don't have
But it's also in Spanish, so people in Mexico need to know it's US.
Yeah, the dollar sign with a number after it
Yeah,
is assumed to be US dollars.
but in Mexico it's the same sign, but it's pesos. So that's 27 pesos is nothing. Sorry, I just had to.
Okay. All right. Okay, customer raves, cool. Frequently asked questions. Okay, you know what? This isn't bad, especially for a $27 product. This is a couple of people asked how do we market a lower end product? This is pretty good for that. What I encourage you to do is just go through the outline that we talked about, and are there other elements that should be in there? And the other piece that I'm not seeing anywhere is I'm not seeing the promise of what happens when sugars cut out.
Okay.
I would definitely build that in.
Perfect.
And so I would build in the promise of what happens when sugar is cut out, and a promise that life does not end when you remove sugar from your diet.
Perfect.
Okay. And ideally, if you got a couple of customer testimonials, it's like, I had no idea it would be this easy to live life without sugar.
Okay.
Food's still delicious. My kids still love me. I still love myself. You know, because there are people out there who will say, you cut chocolate out of my life, I'm going to kill somebody in 3 days. You know, so, okay.
Perfect.
Like your colors, this feels, when I see it the second time, it's like, okay, that just got redundant.
Okay.
But overall, it's nice. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. So we're at 24 minutes after. I do have a hard end because I have to go do an EPM group right at the bottom of the hour. So what I want to do here is to ask if there's anybody who has questions that are not review my page. By the way, you got to get this right here.
This is Janine.
Hi, Janine.
Hi, Don. 2 questions. They should be quick. Do you prefer to use on the page module 1, module 2, and line them up, or do you like week 1, week 2, that kind of thing?
I don't have a strong preference. Whichever one works for yours.
Okay. I knew you didn't like the word module, or module 9 modules, so I wasn't sure.
I don't mind the word module at all.
Okay.
It's word 9.
Got it. Okay.
That's what got me, is saying you get 9 modules.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd rather have you just say, just leave that part out and let them figure out there's 9 of them.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And the other question is just preference of pictures. Do you prefer pictures that actually explain what the little paragraph,
Okay, we just lost you. So let me answer that question. So here's what I prefer. I prefer a combination. So the magic is human beings. Okay, so the magic is pictures of human beings. I do like to have some that are descriptive of what it is that's happening there. So if it's just one stock photo of a human being over and over, again, as they go down the page, you're going to lose them. But if you have a combination, mix them up, basically. Okay. So going back to Maurice's, I mean, some of her stuff is actually, let's see, where's Maurice's?
And some of Maurice's pictures, the expression on her face matches the actual text in, okay, so.
Right, see, these are descriptive of what's happening in this particular module. And then we get some pictures of human beings. Right. And then this is a stock photo of another human being, you know, that kind of thing. Okay?
Okay, mix it up.
Yeah.
But make it relevant to the section.
All right. I just realized I'm not sharing that page, but that's okay. You got the message of what I was trying to do.
I got the message. Thank you. That was it. That was all my questions. Thank you so much.
Hey.
Yeah. We get the slides people have been asking.
Of course. Slides will always be there. It'll come out shortly. So I'll post them 2 hours from now, and Janine should have them up tomorrow or the next day.
Thank you so much for everything, Don. This was fabulous.
Janine's living under the volcano in Manila.
Jamie.
Janie, sorry.
I was wondering if it was something that I should be doing.
Janie, would you get to work? Okay, no, okay. Jamie is living, and so I'm not 100% sure exactly what condition her life is in right at the moment. So a couple of days, you'll have these slides. Okay.
Thanks again.
All right, good. So I will tell you, it usually takes about a week to 2 weeks to craft a really good sales letter. You know, the one at Maurice's level, that's a 2-week process to go through. And the thing that I find is that most people don't devote enough time to do this. And it shows up in their sales. So I strongly suggest you devote enough time. Okay. All right, good. I'm excited for you all. Good examples today. I appreciate you giving me opportunities, and I hope I didn't hurt anyone's feelings anywhere. I appreciate you giving me opportunities to try to help you out and make things better. So take care, everybody. We will see you again shortly. Bye.
Thank you, Don.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you
so much, Don.
Thanks, Don.
Okay.
Bye, everyone. Bye.